下面有请联合国教科文组织教育信息技术研究所信息技术与健康教育部主任 Tigran Yepoyan. Please welcome the Chief of Unit of ICT in Health Education at UNESCO, Tigran Yepoyan.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor and pleasure for me to be here at this wonderful summit, at this great conference, in this great city and in this great country, and have the opportunity to talk about health education and how technology can and does promote it globally. This topic is very central to what we do at UNESCO, to ensure that all children and young people across the globe receive good quality health and well-being education in a safe, violence-free and enabling environment. We do this because young people are still facing enormous threats and challenges to their life, health and well-being all over the world. In 2018 alone, there were about 1.7 million new HIV infections which affected people, and nearly one-third of them, or 500,000, were among people at the ages of 10 to 24. Yet at the same time, only one-third of young people knows how to protect themselves from HIV. Many adolescent girls between the ages of 15 to 19 become mothers and have a much higher risk of birth complication, maternal and child death, as well as ill health of newborn children than older women. And as a result of pregnancy, many girls drop out of school and discontinue education. Alcohol, tobacco, drugs, obesity, and limited physical activity negatively affect current and future health of millions of young people, as well as other dimensions of their well-being. And finally, violence and bullying affect millions of children. Globally, 1 in 3 school-age children is bullied by their peers, and about a quarter of them who are bullied seriously consider attempting a suicide. These challenges are big, and they touch our children. And good news is that school-based health and well-being education can and does prevent these threats and helps young people to respond and get prepared to these challenges. It equips children and young people with knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values to empower them to avoid risky behavior, make informed and responsible decisions, develop respectful and personal relationships, realize their health, well-being, and dignity. There is clear evidence that skills-based health education, with sexuality education in its center, helps to prevent new HIV and sexually transmitted infections, reduce early and unintended pregnancies and child marriage, eliminate gender-based violence, and promote gender equality. There is also evidence that sexuality education doesn't hasten sexual activity and has a positive impact on safer sexual behavior. It promotes values, respect, trust, responsibility, and lays a foundation for life and love. For all these reasons, health and sexuality education is vital to achieving sustainable development goals, of which we have been talking today in the morning, namely goals number 3, 4, and 5 on good health and well-being, quality education, and gender equality. There is a growing political commitment to sexuality education worldwide. Just very recently, in 2016, countries have committed at the level of the UN General Assembly to scale up scientifically accurate, age-appropriate, and comprehensive education that provides information on sexual and reproductive health and HIV prevention, gender equality, and human rights. However, despite of all this evidence, all our knowledge of positive effects, health and sexuality education is sometimes excluded from school curriculum, or sensitive topics are omitted and not discussed in classrooms. Many people still share misconceptions about sexuality education, and some gatekeepers fear that it will undermine traditional power relations, challenge harmful gender norms, and gender inequality. But besides this kind of opposition, there are also operational barriers for good quality health and sexuality education to become a reality for millions of children. And these barriers are insufficient training and support for teachers, especially for smaller towns and rural areas, lack of appropriate curricula, training and learning materials, insufficient or piecemeal funding to support effective delivery. And here is when technology comes to help address these challenges and overcome barriers. Digital technology help address these challenges. It has changed the world in very many ways, and now we live in a completely different environment. We differently communicate, we learn differently, we differently search and find information. And this revolution in technology can help not only education in general, but also health and sexuality education in particularly. We know that in 2019, more than half of the world population, or over 4.1 billion people, are connected, are using internet. And 15 to 24-year-old young people are the most connected age group. 1 in 3 internet users are children under 18. In some countries, 99% or almost 100% of adolescents use internet daily, have smartphone, and check it every few minutes. They are all connected, but still there are 29% world youth who are not online, with 60% of African youth still not connected. There is also a gender gap in connectivity. Fewer girls are using mobile phone and internet. In some contexts, girls experience a range of social restrictions that prevent them from free use of mobile phones and access to the internet. So we have to overcome these barriers, this gender gap, and many other challenges to use these unprecedented opportunities which technology offers us for delivering formal and non-formal health education, including sexuality education and information, to millions of end users, especially where schools do not provide such education or timidly missing sensitive topics. We know that in the internet, young people often look for information about pregnancy, contraception, sexually transmitted infection, HIV, puberty, body image, diet, staying fit, relationship, dating, love, communication with a partner, and all other topics which are of their genuine interest. They need and want accurate information, but unfortunately they often come across resources whose credibility can be questioned. We know that they want safe spaces, but they may encounter cyberbullying and get exposed to unwanted and harmful content, online aggression, hate speech, sexual abuse, and exploitation. Young people prefer digital spaces where they can remain anonymous while looking for certain information and asking delicate questions. This is especially a case for LGBTI youth, for whom online tools are sometimes the only source of information where they feel safe. Digital tools vary. Over years, mobile phones have been widely used to spread health information, messages, provide counseling, and improving adherence to health monitoring and treatment. And they are still used with the purposes with expanding and growing e-health. Some digital resources were developed years ago as classical websites and have been updated to meet current demands, changing environment and technology, and they have integrated discussion forums and social media communities to better interact with users. Some resources were developed for teacher-supervised classroom-based teaching. An example of such you see on the screen. This is World Starts With Me, a program developed some time ago and implemented in 10 countries in Africa and Asia to help teachers better deliver health education in their classrooms, which are sometimes quite overcrowded. This platform offers reading, videos for discussion, projects for individual and group work, and tests to assess students' knowledge. Other resources are both for teachers, children, and their parents. And an example of such resource is this amazing org-developed platform, which offers dozens of edutainment videos, as well as guides for teachers and parents to watch these videos at classroom or at home and discuss with their children. This is mostly for younger children and very young teenagers. And these videos and guides are available in several languages and are widely used in South Africa and in some Latin American countries and elsewhere. Another example is a Russian Nauchpok YouTube channel, which has hundreds of edutainment videos, and among the most popular ones are those which were developed in cooperation with UNESCO IIT for adolescents on health and sexual education. And they scored over 12 million views, just few of those videos. And one of the most popular videos at this platform was about when it is proper to have the first time. Some resources are created for a particular country in a national language and used mostly in this country. But there are many resources which become transnational if their language is spoken globally or regionally. And here we see some resources developed for United States. Here some more resources developed in Germany and funded by federal government. Resources development with UNESCO support for countries in Eastern Europe and Central Asia, Russia, Moldova, Armenia, Ukraine, Kyrgyzstan. Websites, social media communities in 5 languages. Resources developed in India and other Asian countries like Love Matters, a platform with multi-functions, a resource in Argentina and China, a platform which also offers lesson plans and tools for teachers to deliver health and sexuality education to children of different grades. We developed these videos, and I spoke about the videos because one of the most popular things which young people look for in the internet are short edutainment videos. But besides edutainment videos, young people are also big fans of video bloggers. And in this slide, you see just a few of them. Most of sexuality education bloggers are females, and their audiences are also females, but there are also male bloggers. And they have millions of subscribers, thousands and thousands of views, and make a big impact on the behavior of those who subscribe and follow their advice. The social media influencers, as I've just said, have millions of subscribers, like mobile applications and chatbots have thousands and thousands of downloads and users. Here at the screen you see some mobile applications developed for Cambodia and other countries in the Southeast Asia, a mobile application developed for Eastern Europe in Russian language with UNESCO support, and all these resources are becoming highly popular and do help and can become even better tools for health education among young people. Just one more example is about chatbots. They reach different groups of adolescents and answer their numerous questions, imitating a personalized conversation. They do not cheat. The users know that this is a machine, but they like this kind of communication because they maintain their confidentiality. They can ask without being embarrassed any question they want, and they get an instant answer. And if the chatbot doesn't know, it can refer to other tools and other platforms. Some chatbots are very narrow. targeting very specific topics and for certain population groups. Others are for a wider population, for all adolescents. And here you see several examples of them for women, for all teenagers, a chatbot on mental health, a chatbot Ru developed just very recently, which covers a variety of issues, variety of questions which adolescents have. Digital storytelling and film art are becoming a powerful tool for health education and sexuality education as well as. Long reads and cartoons, and you can see them at the screen, about relationships and sexuality in Dvor Public, in one of the largest Russian social media, which has nearly 50 million users, has already attracted 500,000 views. The British famous sex education teen series gained over 40 million viewers worldwide by providing edutainment-style sexuality education. In UNESCO, we have supported a feature film too about love and friendship, about teen drama, and this film has recently received an award at Warsaw International Film Festival and will soon be launched in movie theaters across the country of its origin in Belarus. In Cambodia, Love9 Internet TV, produced by a number of partners, already scored over 5.5 million views and gets more because it's still available. There is enough evidence that digital health and well-being education, including sexuality education, makes significant positive impact on knowledge and attitudes of young people and contributes to safer behavior. It also boosts self-esteem and helps develop interpersonal relationships, tackle gender-based and other forms of violence. Along with benefits, digital spaces pose certain risks, and we have to be cautious about it. Digital spaces, online tools, may provide inaccurate, outdated, biased information. Sometimes they expose users to unwanted, age-inappropriate content, including pornography, but this is mostly through search engines. And some resources may fuel harmful social norms, gender inequality, homophobia, other forms of gender-based violence and discrimination. And they can reinforce peer pressure because young people are very keen to share messages and share peer-generated content. Therefore, there is a lot of work to do, a lot of room for improvement. And in conclusion, I want to say that digital resources are a powerful educational resource that should be harnessed in schools and at home to support young people education about health and well-being. We need to work together to develop and promote such digital resources and make them available and accessible to girls and boys across the globe and across different age groups. And for that, we need to harness the power of partnership. Partnership with young people themselves, first of all, because they know better than anyone what they need and in which format. We need partnership with researchers, with educators, with UN agencies, civil society organizations, ministries of education, health and youth, academia, opinion leaders, celebrities, content and software developers, and of course with IT industry. Only through such a broad collaboration we can develop really innovative, really engaging solutions for digital health education. We all need to act ethically in order not to reinforce gender inequality, bias, unhealthy cultural norms in the digital spaces, and to minimize the risks of inappropriate content. With growing number of artificial intelligence-powered tools in education, including in health education, like chatbots, which I have already shown, we need to ensure that the use of artificial intelligence remains human-controlled and centered on people. Research tells us that this is not a single online resource that a young person gets engaged, but it's a digital neighborhood or a community, online community of different resources that adolescents cultivate and use. And this community of resources impact their attitudes, their beliefs and behavior. Therefore, we need not a single, but multiple, a community of powerful digital solutions that provide scientifically accurate, rights-based, responsive, gender-responsive, age-appropriate, culturally sensitive information that meets the actual, the real and diverse needs of girls and boys. And here is where the UN International Technical Guidance on Sexuality Education can advise on the content and ensure the quality of the resources. There is a need to shift from only risk prevention, which we used to do for years and decades, telling young people not to do this and avoid of that. We do need to shift from this risk prevention approach to an approach that emphasizes positive side of physical and mental health, emotional well-being, and pleasurable relations. This is what teenagers want. This is what we adults like. And there is also need to shift from didactic and instructive approach to an approach that supports provision of facts and non-judgmental and impartial advice. I'm really very thankful to one of the speakers in the morning session who presented enough evidence that only project-style work, when people are discussing and trying to solve a problem, makes an impact, teaches, and does a lasting impact on the people. And this is what we need in health education too. We need solutions that are attractive, engaging, building self-confidence, empowering girls and boys to make informed choices. We need resources that allow users to maintain their anonymity and privacy. We need solutions with real-time feedback and impact assessment to enable improvements in the content and user experience. This is absolutely critical. People get to a website or a social media community and it takes less than a minute for them to decide whether to stay or leave and look for something else. That's why the resource has to be really very attractive, very engaging, and trustful. We need more resources in local languages, and that is something which is really missing. And we need resources for different groups of young people, because there is no a single young person, a single girl or a boy. They're all different. We also need digital resources for teachers to better deliver school-based health education in classrooms, and resources for parents to gain their understanding of what health education is, what benefits it has, and how, and equip them, empower parents to better communicate with their children, maintain trustful relationships, and discuss all these issues if they can and want without feeling awkward. We also need to mitigate risks and ensure universal access to digital health education. And for that, we need to develop in children and adolescents digital skills, as well as media and communication literacy and critical thinking skills, to let them distinguish which resource they can trust and which resource is not worth checking. We need to improve affordability and accessibility for devices, internet, and media connectivity, and the need to narrow and close the digital gender gap by overcoming patriarchal, cultural, and economic barriers that prevent women and girls from developing digital skills and using the internet and social media. We at UNESCO are highly committed to this work and do a lot. Just in 3 months, in February 2020, UNESCO, together with its partners, will host the first global learning forum, Switched On, to explore the opportunities and challenges for delivering sexuality education in the digital space. Key stakeholders will present, discuss, and debate, research, and practice from around the world. The forum will bring together young people, education professionals, digital content managers, programmers, academic experts, adolescent sexual and reproductive health and rights practitioners, and advocates to present the latest evidence, promote dialogue, and identify directions for further work and investment in this area. Stay connected, follow our work in this area at UNESCO Global website and UNESCO IIT website. Help us make better digital health education for young people. Thank you very much for your attention.
感谢 Mr. Tigran Yepoyan 的精彩演讲。Thank you for the wonderful presentation, Mr. Tigran Yepoyan.